If we can all find a seat and get quiet, I would like to officially call to order the School Board of Education regular meeting for September 23rd, 2019. And at this time, I will ask Ms. Daly to take roll call.
Mr. Raymond Daniels, Mr. Darrell Love,
Present.
Mr. Tyler Murphy,
Present.
Mr. Will Nash,
Present.
Ms. Stephanie Spires.
Present. I would like to take a minute and welcome all of our guests. And I was thinking as I was outside, if people want to know why we might need another location, I saw a lot of parents and grandparents frantically trying to find parking places out there. So I welcome everybody here tonight. At our school board meetings, we have 3 honorary board meetings each month. We have a teacher representative, a classified representative, and a student representative. And tonight we'd like to welcome the 3 of you. And I'm going to tell you a little information about our guests this month. Julie Searay is from the Academy for Leadership at Mill Creek, and she's our teacher representative. Julie is a 5th grade teacher at the Academy for Leadership at Mill Creek Elementary. This is her 10th year teaching and her 5th year at the Academy for Leadership at Mill Creek. She is on the 5th grade team lead, the reading, writing, and social studies school representative, and new teacher mentor. She is a member of the PBIS and Lighthouse committees and co-leads the Dazzling Divas After School Club. She graduated from the University of Kentucky in 2010 and taught for 3 years in her hometown of Elizabethtown, Kentucky, before settling down in Lexington. She has been married to her college sweetheart, Joe, for 6 years, and they have 2 children, RJ and Rose. In her spare time, she enjoys cheering on the Kentucky Wildcats, cooking, and reading. And we want to welcome Julie this evening.
Right.
Anna Nickel is our high school, well, she's our student representative, but she's from Lafayette High School. She's a senior at Lafayette, and after spending her high school career dedicating her time towards improving her community, she has gathered a large list of accomplishments. She represented Lafayette High School at the annual Student Technology Leadership Programs competition, where she was awarded first place in the service category for her project of changing how students view community service. After this, she was granted a position of alternate engineer. She has participated in many clubs such as Beta Club, Y Club, Junior E-Board, and Student Council. With a group of peers, Anna created Lafayette's first multicultural night, an event created to allow students to demonstrate and teach others about their native cultures with pride. She first started this project after tutoring many ESL students in Lafayette's International Tutoring Club, in which she demonstrates her ability to help others as a polyglot. These side projects have not stopped Anna from dedicating her time towards her education. She has a 4.76 weighted GPA, a 30 on her ACT, and earned a Certificate of Academic Excellence in Marketing. And we'd like to welcome Anna here tonight. And our classified staff representative is Charles Milling from Transportation. Charles is a bus driver and has been with the district for 3 years. Charles was born in Anniston, Alabama. He has been married for 55 years. To his lovely wife, and they have 5 children. He worked for IBM Lexmark for 30 years before coming to FCPS. He's recorded 10 gospel CDs and 3 Mercy Band CDs. He loves people and will help anyone if possible. He is a man who is always willing to give than to receive. So we want to welcome him this evening. Hold on just a second. I have about 6 different scripts up here this evening. And so now, at this time, I would like to call for the moment of silence, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the reading of the mission statement by Mr. Will Nash.
Yeah. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our mission is to create a collaborative community that ensures all students achieve at high levels and graduate prepared to excel in a global society.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. At this time, I would call for approval of our agenda, but I would like to add item K5, which is the approval of the Superintendent Cox evaluation to the agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Love, second by Mr. Nash. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We'd like to begin each school board meeting with a performance to showcase our talented students in high-quality arts instruction. Tonight, we welcome the Advanced Orchestra from Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School, which performs at a pre-collegiate level. Several of these students represented Dunbar last year in All-State Orchestra, and Gina Park was the concert master. Many of these musicians participate in the rigorous MSTC program at Dunbar and are dedicated to keeping music in their lives, even as math and science are their primary focus. The orchestra will now perform Por una Cabeza, arranged by Matthew Naughton, and Hoedown by Aaron Copeland. They are under the direction of Rebecca Guff. Please join the board in welcoming them to the stage. If there are family members or friends or supporters in the audience tonight of this orchestra, we ask that you stand so that we can appreciate and thank you for supporting your student. And at this time, I would like to invite my colleagues down front so we can do board recognitions. My fourth grader is on week 3 of orchestra, and so I hope that in 5 or 6 years she'll be up here just like these students were tonight. So here we are for board awards. First up, we have the 2019 KTCCA Middle School State Championships. The boys track and field team from Edith J. Hayes took first place in the 2019 Kentucky Track and Cross Country Coaches Association Middle School State Championships. Among the highlights, John Horton placed first in the 100-yard dash and second in the 200 dash. John Jacob Childress, Andrew Houghton, and Devon Gidron won the 4x100 relay. This Hayes team is coached by Timothy Poindexter and Alexis Morgan. And please join the board in congratulating them on this outstanding season, and we ask the team to come forward.
Two, three, and more. Ready? 3, 2,
If we have any family members or friends or supporters of this team, if you'll stand at this time so we can recognize you for supporting your student athletes. So next up, we have the 2019 Governor's School for Entrepreneurs. And as I start reading this and start calling your name, you can go ahead and start making your way up here. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night long. So the Fayette County Public Schools sent 2 high school students to the 2019 Governor's School for Entrepreneurs, Senior Will Hams of Lafayette and Junior Khalid Rashad of Paul Lawrence Dunbar. They joined nearly 70 other teenagers in a transformative 3-week program featuring visits to 15 startups and businesses across the state, 40 guest entrepreneurs and speakers, and over 200 hours of learning and synthesizing. Please join the board in congratulating Will and Khalid. And do we have any family members and friends here in the audience? We ask that you stand so we can recognize you for supporting your young entrepreneur. The Governor's School for the Arts is an intensive 3-week workshop where student artisans sharpen their skills in a particular craft. This past summer, 49 students from Fayette County Public Schools participated in GSA. We are excited to have our principals or designees from each high school to introduce their students. As you can imagine, these teenagers are some of our most involved students, and many of them have sent their regrets since they could not attend this evening. First, please welcome Allison Markham from Bryan Station High School.
The GSA participants from Bryan Station were Mia Durham for Visual Arts, Emily Ping for Instrumental Music, Caleb Robinson for Instrumental Music, Anna Siebold for Dance, and Benjamin Shapir for Instrumental Music.
So Ray Daniels and I have a running joke that at every meeting there's at least one kid I babysat, and I babysat Benjamin when he was little. So, next up, first of all, if we have any family members for our Bryan Station students, if you all can stand to be recognized, we want to thank you for your support. Next, we welcome J.J. Allen, an associate principal at Henry Clay High School.
This summer's GSA students from Henry Clay were Will Bauman, Instrumental Music, Sophia Lee, Creative Writing, Catherine Lucier, Instrumental Music, Ellie Phillips, Musical Theater. And I believe the students had something to attend tonight, so they're not here. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Allen, for coming tonight and recognizing your students. Please pass along our congratulations to all of them. Now we welcome David Scholl, Associate Principal at Lafayette High School.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce the GSA participants from Lafayette High School. Alexandra Atkins, Architecture and Design. Jackson Arnold, Instrumental Music. Daniel Basler, musical theater. Keyshawn Butts, dance. Maddie Carberry, vocal music. Carson Caswell, instrumental music. Jacob Ernst, drama. Lindy Fisher, dance. Tommy Flanagan, drama. Devin Fleming, creative writing. Tuesday Haddon, visual art. Harrison Hancock, vocal music. Grace Hughes, instrumental music. Annie Hutchins, instrumental music. Shannon James, instrumental music. Hillary Johnson, dance. Promise Kayembe, creative writing. Anna Keplinger, instrumental music. Eli Lane, instrumental music. Robert Lothar, musical theater. Isaac Martin, instrumental music. Sophia Miner, dance. Paula Monsavlanari, dance. Brandon Naish, vocal music. Alexa Ocampo, visual art. Isaac Peck, architecture. Rachel Shade, instrumental music. Haley Shaver, dance. Dalton Stanlin, instrumental music. Charles Stevenson, drama. Alexandra Tebow, vocal music. Kate Walker, dance. Laura Lee Watson, film and photography. Isabella Williams, dance. And Emily Reed, vocal music.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
If we have any Dunbar parents, family members, supporters in the audience of these young artists, we ask that you stand so we can recognize you for supporting your students. Now we welcome Marty Mills, principal at Tates Creek High School. I skipped Dunbar? Oh, because he flipped the page. Sorry, back up. First, we're going to welcome Betsy Rains, the principal at Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. Take it away.
Dunbar's GSA participants were George Gordon, drama, June Woo Park, instrumental music, Maral Saeed, visual art, and Lynn Grace Wooden, instrumental music.
Great job. Congratulations.
There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Now, I think I may have said Dunbar a second ago, but if we have any parents of these Dunbar students or family members or supporters of these young artists, we ask that you stand at this time so we can recognize you. And now we welcome Marty Mills, principal at Tates Creek High School.
The GSA honoree from Tates Creek High School is Satara True for instrumental music.
Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
if we have any family members or friends in the audience, we ask that you stand. I thought that might be you, but I have to have these moments where I connect parents with kids. Please join the board once more in recognizing all of our students who participated in the 2019 Governor's School for the Arts. Family members, please stand to be recognized as well. The Governor's Scholars Program is a challenging 5-week residential summer program for outstanding Kentucky students who just completed their junior year in high school. GSP nurtures academic and personal growth through a challenging, non-traditional approach that balances a strong liberal arts program with a full co-curricular and residential life experience. This past summer, 67 students from Fayette County Public Schools were Governor's Scholars. Once again, our principals will introduce the students from their respective high schools. First up.
So I am honored to introduce the following Governor's Scholars from Bryan Station: LaMargaret Johnson and Brinley Nathaniel.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
As the principal of Frederick Douglass, I am privileged to introduce the following Governor's Scholars: Alyssa Gibhart and Paige Hensley.
One, two, three. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
I'm honored to introduce the following Governor's Scholars from Henry Clay: Jackson Broyles, Madeline Cohen, Eli Flomenhoff, Olivia Greenkey, Lily Guilfoyle, Megan Jennings, Paul Kamer, Megan Kaufman, Lydia Plum, Lauren Payne, Thomas Payne Jr., and Bhume Shah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'm excited to recognize the following students from Lafayette High School: Benjamin Adair, Jackson Butcher, Michelle Choi, McKenna Clinch, Fiona Ferrer, Tatum Fowler, Charles Frederick, Ashley Grosspitch, Deborah Hahn, Madison Hart, Anya Hartman, Benjamin Henderson, Sierra Ito, Benjamin Lozano, Nikki Malecki, Mary Matoka, Bella Nelson, Sarah Perry, Jonathan Reynolds, and Abigail Washnot.
One, two, three. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Dunbar congratulates the following Governor's Scholars: Shun Ada Kunle, Palama Bravo, Benjamin Klein, William Ding, Abigail Pfister, Rika Gall, Grace Goff, Amal Gondal, Anish Kudambi, Alan Liu, Graham Marshall, Ian Moga, Mohammed Rashad, Christian Skinker, and Angie Zhu.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Ridd. I'm a counselor at the STEAM Academy High School, and I'm honored to recognize our Governor's Scholars tonight. Nathaniel Ainsley, Cameron Dickey, Angelique Gardella, and Haley Sutherland.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Tates Creek is proud to salute the following Governor Scholars: Reese Allen, Grace Brooks, Adam Fernandez, Emily Faring, Iman Hassan, Cassidy Most, Olivia Morgan, Alexis Petrie, Susanna Rickert, Jenna Shalash, Saja Shalash, and Alexis Wright.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Once again, please join the board in applauding all of our District 2019 Governor's Scholars. And if we have any parents, family members, supporters in the audience, we ask that you stand to be recognized as well.
Good evening. At 212 degrees, water is hot, but at 212 degrees, it boils. The difference is just 1 degree, but that difference is significant. Boiling water creates steam, and that steam has enough energy to power a freight train. Reaching our mission of creating a collaborative community that ensures all students achieve at high levels and graduate prepared to excel in a global society requires an extra degree of effort from all of our employees. Each and every day, we have countless staff members who go above and beyond in the service of students. We honor some of those efforts with a 212-degree recognition during our monthly school board meetings. Tonight's 212-degree award is for a Fayette County Public Schools employee who kept a cool head, remembered her safety training, and leapt into action when a student was in distress. As a special education paraprofessional at Liberty Elementary, one of Beth Brockman's job responsibilities is to help students with special needs in the cafeteria. She circulates around the cafeteria helping anyone, but keeps her eyes on the students she is assigned to. On August 26th, a student approached Beth with a very frightened look on her face. Sensing that the student was having trouble breathing, Beth asked her, "Are you choking?" The student responded by nodding her head yes. Beth calmly said, "Don't worry, honey, I got you." She stepped behind the student and wrapped her arms around her just like the choking videos she had watched over the years. Beth told the student she was going to press tightly and quickly on her and not to be afraid. Beth did the move she had seen so many times on videos until someone shouted, "Something just came out of her mouth." Immediately, the student could speak, cough, and breathe again. She was frightened, but Beth assured her all was okay and that she would be fine. Beth took the student to the school nurse just to make sure all was well, and the nurse called the child's family to let them know what had happened. Amidst praise and appreciation from the student's family and her coworkers, Beth humbly said, "Anyone would have done the same thing." In her nomination, Liberty Elementary Principal Lisa Keir said, "I am so proud of Beth and so grateful she was calm and had the wherewithal to remember the procedure so well. I think she is a hero." Please join me this evening in showing appreciation for Liberty's very own superhero, Beth Brockman. Beth thinks she's here because of a classified rep meeting.
Come on, family. I want to get home before the football game comes on. Come on. Come on, family. Watch your step, kid. Thank you.
Sorry, we rolling again.
No, you're fine. Watch your step. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Good, okay. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. We'll take one more. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Mimi. Oh. That's it. We're over here. We're sitting down. Next on our agenda, we have 4 proclamations. Our first proclamation this evening celebrates October 2019 as National Principals Month. We are honored this evening to have Deep Springs Elementary School Principal Adam Kirk here to read the proclamation.
All right. Nice, Adam.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Whereas principals and assistant principals play a key role in establishing a positive and welcoming climate and culture for their school and maintaining relationships with students, families, employees, and the community to ensure academic excellence for children in a safe, healthy, and supportive environment. And whereas throughout the day, principals wear many hats, acting as educational visionaries, instructional leaders, assessment experts, disciplinarians, public relations experts, budget analysis, facilities managers, professional coaches, and guardians of various legal, contractual, and policy mandates, as well as being caretakers of our students. And whereas principals work tirelessly in Fayette County Public Schools to maintain academic accountability, develop and maintain high curriculum standards, set performance goals and objectives, oversee the day-to-day operations of their schools and efforts to make a positive difference in the lives of children. And whereas research shows that leadership is second only to instruction in its effect on student learning, making the principal the mobilizing force behind any school improvement effort.
Thank you. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the members of the Fayette County Board of Education hereby express their deep appreciation to all elementary, middle, and high school principals and associate principals as integral members of the school district team, and join the rest of the nation in celebrating October 2019 as National Principals Month. Be it further proclaimed that the proclamation be spread in the official minutes of the Board of Education. If we have any principals here with us this evening, I'd like to invite you to stand and be recognized. A motion is in order to adopt the proclamation celebrating October 2019 as National Principals Month.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Nash, a second by Mr. Murphy. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Mr. Murphy.
I'm lost on my, oh, here it is, page 3. Maybe if I turn the page. Our next proclamation is in recognition of October 2019 as National Physical Therapy Month. It is my honor to invite our Director of Special Education, Amanda Dennis, to read this proclamation.
Whereas physical therapists work every day in Fayette County to support our students' mobility and gross motor challenges in order to achieve their educational goals, and whereas school physical therapists evaluate each student's ability to access the school environment, make recommendations, and implement services to meet his or her individual needs, and whereas physical therapy services are designed to enable students to travel with the least possible restrictions throughout the school environment, participate in classroom activities, maintain and change positions in the classroom, as well as manage stairs, restrooms, and the cafeteria. And whereas physical therapists provide direct services to students and work collaboratively with families, teachers, and other professionals to support students ages 3 to 21.
Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the members of the Fayette County Board of Education hereby express their deep appreciation to school physical therapists as integral members of the school district team and join the rest of the nation in celebrating October 2019 as National Physical Therapy Month. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be spread on the official minutes of the Board of Education. If we have any physical therapists here with us this evening, I'd like to invite them to stand and be recognized. And we will recognize all the ones who are here in spirit as well. Do I read the motion?
Yeah, you read.
A motion is in order to adopt the proclamation celebrating October 2019 as National Physical Therapy Month.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Love, second by Mr. Nash. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Our next proclamation celebrates October the 21st through the 25th, 2019, as National School Bus Safety Week. We are honored this evening to have Transportation Director Marcus Dobbs, Kentucky's Transportation Director of the Year, with us to read the proclamation.
Thank you. Whereas the first school district employees who greet many of our students each morning and the last who say goodbye each afternoon are our school bus drivers and monitors. And whereas the customer service delivered by the members of the Fayette County Public Schools transportation team is a crucial component of ensuring a positive and welcoming climate and culture for our children. And whereas the entire transportation department bears tremendous responsibility devising complex routes and schedules, helping families make transportation arrangements, maneuvering traffic in varying road conditions, maintaining behavior on the bus, and ensuring the safety of their most precious cargo. And whereas our employees' commitment to safety is evidenced in the 8 hours of formal safety training everyone receives annually and the countless hours of personalized safety training for drivers and monitors throughout the year.
Now, be it proclaimed that the members of the Fayette County Board of Education hereby express their deep appreciation to all our school bus drivers, school bus monitors, and other transportation professionals as integral members of the school district's team, and join the rest of the nation in celebrating October the 1st through the 25th, 2019 as National School Bus Safety Week. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be included in the official minutes of the Board of Education. Now, if we have any transportation employees here with us this evening, I would like to invite them to stand and be recognized.
Yes.
And we do thank them for their work. A motion is now in order to adopt the proclamation celebrating October the 21st through the 25th, 2019 as National School Bus Safety Week.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Murphy, a second by Mr. Nash. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you to Mr. Dobbs. So I'm in like 100 mom Facebook groups, and every time there is a transportation issue, someone immediately writes, email Marcus Dobbs, and I think, poor man, he's got tons of emails. But they speak so highly of you in these groups for all your attentiveness and taking care of their little babies and their precious cargo. So I just want to say thank you for being so responsive to our parents when they have needs and concerns about transportation. So thank you very much.
Our final proclamation this evening celebrates October 2nd, 2019 as National Custodial Worker Day. We're honored this evening to have Chad Vaughn, the lead custodian at the Academy for Leadership at Mill Creek Elementary, with us to read the proclamation.
Good evening. Providing a safe and sanitary learning environment for students and working environment for staff is an important component of ensuring that the well-being of academic success of students at Fayette County Public School. And our school custodians are an integral part of our Fayette County Public School community, not only maintaining our facilities, but also an integral role in the health, attitude, and pride of our students and staff, and cleaning classrooms, coordinating building rentals, directing traffic, helping in the cafeteria, maintaining pest control, responding overnight alarm calls, and conducting regular safety checks, among all other tasks at Fayette County Public School. Custodian workers jump in wherever our school districts offices need help. And custodial workers literally do a lot of heavy lifting for our schools and districts, delivering supplies, assisting them moving, replacing filters, lights, deep cleaning from top to bottom in the summer, and removing snow and ice from sidewalks in winter. Thank
Now
you.
therefore be it proclaimed, the members of the Fayette County Board of Education hereby express their deep appreciation to custodial workers as integral members of the school district team, and hereby join the rest of the nation in celebrating October 2nd, 2019 as National Custodial Worker Day.
Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be spread on the official minutes of the Board of Education. If we have any custodians here with us this evening, I'd like to invite them to stand and be recognized. They're all working.
Yeah.
What makes them a great team. A motion is in order to adopt the proclamation celebrating October 2nd, 2019 as National Custodial Worker Day.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Love, second by Mr. Nash. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. And at this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Superintendent Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Board. Before we begin the superintendent's report tonight, I'd like to add my own congratulations to the students and employees we honored this evening, and also welcome our student, teacher, and classified representatives this evening. Julie, Anna, and Charles, you represent important voices here at the table, and we encourage you to share your thoughts and observations so that the actions taken here will be the best they possibly can be. All right, to begin the superintendent's report, I'm actually going to kind of take you back and let you let you into my world from September 11th to today. Yes, let's see. All right, FY20 budget. So state budget, you see there. All right, there's a scale. Everything goes on a scale. Education funding, we know. Public education in Kentucky is woefully underfunded. We know this. Quality Counts gave Kentucky a letter grade of an F for public education funding. We also recognize that even with the General Assembly funding the ARC payment, and even with increasing SEEK to the highest dollar amount, when you adjust for inflation, it's just about at the 2008-2009 level, right? So we understand that. So the scales are about justice, they're about equity, and when you have public education that's woefully underfunded, it's hard to achieve equity. And when it comes to equity, we know that with funding, there's no funding for professional development, no funding for support of new teachers, no funding for textbooks, and a whole host of other budget lines have been zeroed out as a result, right? So that's the state budget. And certainly, we didn't receive any funding this past legislative session for Senate Bill 1, School Safety Resiliency Act. When you look at the fact that over half the children entering kindergarten in the state of Kentucky are not ready for kindergarten, and we still haven't made the investment in early childhood education to the level and the dollars that we should, we still only fund half-day kindergarten. And so when you think about that, and you think about the fact that in Kentucky, we're educating more children living in poverty, more children who are experiencing housing insecurity. Over 90,000 children are living with someone other than their biological parents. You've seen the recent articles on the foster care system and how it ties to education, and yet we continue to exacerbate these conditions when we don't fully fund public education. So let's look at Fayette County Public Schools, FY20 budget. Now, this scale I submit to you isn't an accurate picture, and I'll tell you why in a second. So equity actually should be higher because we invested in our equity agenda to try to drive dramatic gains. When you look at the work we've done with adding more English language or EL teachers, adding more special education teachers, adding more gifted and talented teachers so students could be identified for talented, not just giftedness. When you talk about the support for high school transformation and our partnership with the Chamber, and the list can go on, even funding full-day kindergarten where the state pays half and we contribute the other half to make sure students have a full-day experience. I work with our Promise Academies and our elementary turnaround, middle school redesign or reimagining middle school. All that work goes into it, MTSS, PBIS, et cetera. and I hate to talk in acronyms, so forgive me for that. And yet, as we increase equity, the tax rate remained flat. Now, you need to clap for that. I mean, taxes didn't go up, and we're doing more for children, right? You show me a system that can do that. And so we're definitely going in a different direction than the state and many other districts. So this occurred when the board voted. You didn't read about it in the paper because it wasn't news because the tax rate didn't go up, right? And we're driving more equity. So I wanted to share that with you. So as your serving superintendent, I decided I was going to go celebrate. This is not easy to do. It's the second time in my 4 years here in Fayette County where we're able to continue to drive towards equity and maintain a flat tax rate, right? So that's intentional and still maintain and upgrading our credit rating as well. So I decided to go out and celebrate and called my wife. So we go out and I go into this establishment. I won't tell you where, okay? And so I see these 3 couples that's already there and they're enjoying themselves. I go in and without saying anything to my wife, I look at the couples and say, you know, I'm going to stay here longer than them. Okay, I'm going to enjoy myself. We're going to close the place down. Okay, they don't need to call Lexington Police Department to get me out of here. We're going to have a good time. Okay, that's a joke. All right. So, any rate, we get done, and as we're leaving, the 3 couples are on their way out. And one of them said, you know, I recognize you from TV. I thought that was you, Superintendent. I wanted to tell you you're doing a great job. And we talked. We had a great time, kind of fellowshipping. And here's my new crew, all right, that I'm hanging out with. I can't tell you where, but on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we're there, and well, it's light in the picture, but, you know, it's midnight anywhere, right? So we had a great time taking pictures, saying no new taxes, flat tax rate, and we're celebrating, okay? And they don't have children in the school system, and there's a picture as well. So now, this is a Picador's partnership with the University of Kentucky men's basketball team, and you may not have seen this, but I want to show you this video because it's important.
Basket. For the kids, baby, for the kids.
Not your normal Friday at Picadome Elementary. A few players from the UK basketball team have a special delivery.
We deal with UK Athletics as they bring all of our food bags from our God's Pantry food program, and so they make sure to help our students who have a food shortage at home have additional food for the weekend.
Inside these bags are mac and cheese, peanut butter, and canned food. About 70 bags of food will help some of the students here get through the weekend, and it's all with an assist from UK basketball.
It's a lot bigger than us, and if we can give them some meals and take time out of our day to prepare that for them, it kind of makes us feel a little bit better about what we're doing and shows us that it's a lot bigger than us.
You can't just drop meals off and leave. The kids want to play, and so they did. With a little duck, duck, goose, in this game, there's no out of bounds. Time for a little shooting competition. This little girl showing the big guys a few things. Being here for half an hour, no one keeping score, Superintendent Mandy Kalk out shooting E.J. Montgomery, dunking on Principal Hutchinson. These are positive memories that will be with these kids for a long time.
For me, I can remember, being in elementary school and Harlem Globetrotters coming to my school, and one of them had picked me up to do something, so that was always something that stuck out to me. So for us to be able to come back here and do this for these kids is really special.
If only every Friday could be like this. In Lexington, Shelby Lofton, WKYT.
Craftsmanship. Attention to detail. Yes. So that event happened to be, obviously was there, and wanted to just thank Coach Cal, UK's men's athletic. Those guys brought joy to our children, bringing those backpacks and some food. And here I go, reliving my hoop dreams. And I tell you, as you heard in the clip, I beat out E.J. Montgomery. Okay, so I want to tell you that.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear that? You got to listen again. Depending on how, all right, depending on how my evaluation goes this evening. Coach Cal, I got 4 years eligibility left. Okay, I think I still got it. Okay, so you know, it was a lot of fun, but a lot of joy brought to our children. They got a chance to see those athletes and, you know, with Coach Cal and the work that he does and his coaching staff in developing them, you're looking at some next level NBA players. And so I really wanted to commend UK Athletics, not just the basketball team, but Coach Mitchell and the girls basketball team. We know the other sports teams participate in Real Men Read, and so, you know, they really have a great partnership, not just with individual schools, but with Fayette County Public Schools. So I wanted to commend them for that. And after putting out E.J. Montgomery and giving them some work, okay, I decided to go celebrate. And, well, you know why that picture is there. It's two Emmanuels, right? You get two Emmanuels together, and you got to take a picture.
Next slide.
Next. All right. So I had a colleague who sent me a picture that at the old school coffee shop, it was Superintendent's Week. And the drink was called the Superintendent, and it was the drink of the week. So after leaving Picadome, I decided to go to the old school coffee shop and experience the superintendent. After the week I had, I think I deserve a drink named after the superintendent, coffee, that is. And so I go to the old school coffee shop, right there, walk in, that's the drink, that's the sign. And I met the owner. The owner is Rhett, and he's a 2016 graduate of Lafayette High School. Been in business since August. And got to having a conversation with him, and coincidentally, that was the first graduation that I attended, right? And so it's great to see our graduates out becoming entrepreneurs. We know that small businesses are really the engine and lifeblood of our economy and of our country. And so I said, you know, Rhett, I got the drink, the superintendent, and then he shows me the board, and it's the coach, it's the teacher, the student, right, the principal, of course, the counselor. And so the drinks are named after positions, educators. And so I thought that was a great way to pay homage. And come to find out, Old School Coffee Shop is in City School number 3. Now, for those of you who know, this was a school during segregation, built in 1860. It was in circa 1915 when it closed. And that's why it's the Old School Coffee Shop. And so it's a great venue, and I decided that, you know, I get a lot of emails and folks want to meet with me. I had a couple establishments throughout town I would go to, but when you send me an email and we meet, we're going to the Old School Coffee Shop to have coffee with Caulk. So that's going to be a launch that I'm going to do starting in October. We can sit down and talk. You know, be prepared to pay for your own drink. I'll pay for my drink, but we can talk. And you can tell me all about your product and programs, etc. Coffee with Caulk at the Old School Coffee Shop. How about that? All right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. But we don't stop there. I wish. So, National Merit semifinalists. All across the country, education and staff reporters recognized National Merit semifinalists. And because I worked all over the country, I read a lot of papers where I worked, and I call it back home. So back home in Louisiana, Cajun country, LSU, The Advocate had an article September 12th where they listed and recognized the 5 dozen named as National Merit semifinalists from the Baton Rouge area. Now, that's not one district, that's an area like the central region of Kentucky, right? And I got a chance to see some of my old high schools and the students who were recognized as well. And it got me to thinking that, you know, as I look at your paper here, I see a lot about athletics and not a lot about academics, right? And wondering why is that? So I said, let me see if there's any local papers who really put an emphasis on academics. Well, wouldn't you know it, the Winchester Sun had an article recognizing a Clark student named National Merit semifinalist. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Anywhere in the country, it's a big deal. And I ponder as to why it's not a big deal here, right? And so I decided to go out to each of our high schools where we had National Merit finalists, present them with a pin that demonstrated One of the attributes of a portrait of a graduate, academically prepared, and to give them a banner. And that banner lists all the students' names who were recognized as 2020 National Merit semifinalists to hang in that school. You go in the gym, you see athletes, you see banners for athletics, but we want to recognize the academic achievement as well. Didn't stop there, went to every school that, again, to recognize our students, and today, thanks to Lisa Defendahl, we were able to have some media coverage, Channel 27, WKYT, so we're going to get out of here before 11 so we can watch it. They tagged along as we visited Bryan Station as well as Henry Clay. So I want to thank that we got some media coverage. This is real news, this is the good news, and this reflects the great work that our students are doing in Fayette County.
And how many do we have?
45, so let me tell you, yes. And you think about this, we represent 6% of students in pre-K through 12 in the state of Kentucky, but 22% of those recognized as National Merit semifinalists. 45 semifinalists, more than any district in the Commonwealth, and that's quite an accomplishment. So, thank you. Next, under Superintendent's report, I'm going to ask V. Pryor, our project manager, for new and innovative programs to come forward. I believe she's going to be joined by several other colleagues to give you an update.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to share an update on our new and innovative programs. You should have all received a brochure that lists all of our available the list of programs that we have available to our families. And with that, you can see that we already have so many wonderful programs, so many great things that are going on in this district, and we want to continue to do that. We want to continue to bring innovative programs and opportunities and options and access to our students. We do understand that one size does not fit all, and so we have to provide our families with a greater level of programs and innovation to meet the needs of our students. The reason why I believe that new and innovative programs are so important is, number one, we understand that our families are so interested in special programs. They want opportunities for their students, and we know this because during our recent information night, which is our annual event, we had over 700 families come out and get information from the different facilitators we have. We know that new and innovative programs are important because between 2018 and 2020, we typically see annually about 2,500 to over 3,000 applications a year, which also lets us know that families are very interested in options and opportunities for their students. And so we are really excited about the things that are going on. We have over 30 GT Magnet and special programs across elementary, middle, and high school. And that lets us know, again, that our families want options. They want access to be able to get into these special programs. We understand that our visionary Superintendent Kalk had a vision to bring innovation to Fayette County Public Schools, and that not only means bringing new programs, but also possibly expanding programs. So we have our Carter G. Woodson Academy expansion program, our Carter G. Woodson Academy, and we would like to expand that program because it is doing extremely well. We understand that it is meeting the needs of our male students, and we currently have middle and high school, but we want to expand that program to K through 5. We want to start that program with K through 2 with about 100 students, and we continue to plan and we continue to discuss ways to move that forward, to move that expansion forward, and we're absolutely looking at a tentative fall 2020 or fall 2021 launch date, if at all possible. Additionally, we understand that our families love the Spanish Immersion Program. We see a lot of applications come through, but unfortunately, they are at capacity, which means that we can only accept about 103 students. And so that means that there are a lot of students that cannot get in, a lot of families wanting into that program, but they are unable to because of capacity. And so we want to expand our Spanish Immersion Program, and currently we're looking to identify appropriate facilities to house a new district-wide program, and our hope is that that will happen 2020 or 2021 of the fall. Additionally, we have our Future Forward 21st Century Academy. This is the merging of our South Side and East Side technical schools. This merging and coming together will allow our students to have access to 21st century state-of-the-art design, and then also allow our industry partners to work alongside our students in that complex. And for this initiative, the planning is ongoing and space specifications are being reviewed as we speak, but we're continuing forward in that initiative as well. Our SCAPA expansion, how beautiful did that orchestra play today. It was just absolutely awesome, and we understand that our children, they desire the arts, they love the arts, and we know that SCAPA is the highest level of gifted service for visual and performing arts, but guess what? They're also at capacity, which means that there are students that apply, they either can't get in or they're waitlisted. And so this expansion, what it's going to do is going to allow students that qualify an opportunity to receive program placement. No child should be left behind. If that's their desire and if that's their passion, they should be able to do it. And so we want to be able to provide our students with that opportunity. Planning is ongoing and space specification is being reviewed for this initiative as well. But we're really, really excited about the future and about expanding the SCAPA program. So let me just piggyback on what you saw with SCAPA and the SCAPA expansion. Out of a necessity for students that have a passion for the arts, but they are not at that gifted range, we want to provide an opportunity for middle-level exposure to the arts. In 2019, SCAPA had 118 students who did not qualify, but they were very passionate about the arts. And what we want to do is we want to fill that need, because we understand when children are exposed to the arts or an area of passion, they perform better academically. And so we want to be able to give our students an opportunity to get that exposure. What we would like to do is have a wall-to-wall K-5 visual and performing arts program with a concentration in vocal arts, drama, dance, band and instrument. And we'd like to start K-1 with exploratory rotations, because let's face it, at kindergarten, our students may not really know what they want to do, but we give them an opportunity to explore. And then in that grades 2 through 5, it will be guided and specific. We are in the planning and development phase and will determine which location and space we would like to pilot this program. And so we are really excited about what that VAPA program can do. Also on our plate is the reimagining the middle school model in partnership with middle school chiefs. And the reimagining of middle schools is really about preparing our middle school students to enter high school with a purpose. We have a portrait of a high school ready student, and that portrait looks like an academically prepared, college and career focused, civically engaged and culturally competent, equipped for the future student. This pre-academy structure is being piloted at Leestown, Southern, E.J. Hayes, and Takes Creek middle school. And so we're really excited about that. Also in this reimagining, they're focusing around the Tier 1 Big 5 strategies, and they're listed there. And the middle school chiefs are continuing to implement their Big 5 Tier 1 strategies, as well as researching culture for learning and other innovative models. They've already been on some field trips to look at excellent models and reimagining their middle schools. So really excited about that as well. Girls K-8 STEAM program is in partnership with UK and Create to Collaborate partnership. We understand that girls are on par or above in science and mathematics, and yet we don't see that translating into women working as engineers and computing professionals. And we believe that if you start those young ladies, those young girls, and you give them that foundation at the early ages, at their early stages of life, then they will see that they can be future engineers, that they can be computing professionals, and they will feel comfortable in that environment. Our goal is to equip our female students with the powerful skills necessary to succeed. And as you may know, we started an RFI process in 2018, and out of that emerged a wonderful partnership with UK, with Newton's Attic, with Alltech, Living Arts and Science Center. I mean, partners are getting on board and really getting behind this because they can see how great this is going to be. And so we are going full speed ahead. We've identified a temporary location to house our program. So we're looking at the Spur Road location right now. And we're also in the process of identifying the building modifications that's going to be required to successfully, tentatively open this up or launch this program fall 2020, starting K-2 with 150 students. K-Tech and P-Tech. This was an initiative that our superintendent is really passionate about, and so are we. This P-Tech model, the wonderful thing about this K-Tech, P-Tech model, which we're in partnership with BCTC and Secretary Ramsey and Mr. Irvin Demeny, is that it takes the practical, the academics, the schoolwork, and it bridges it with real-world experience. It connects the two. And that's what makes this model so powerful, is that it's not just about the book work, but it's also about how do I take what I've learned in the classroom and apply it in the real world. And so we are really excited about this model. We already have a post-secondary institution, which is BCTC, and we are working on finding the right industry partner. We already have industry partners that are already very interested in this model, but we're still working on some things. This will give our students also the ability to earn a high school diploma as well as an associate's degree. All high school students will have the opportunity to participate in this program within their home school. And so this is where you talk about the access and the equity and giving all students an opportunity to succeed. BCTC has 5 areas for students to obtain a free AA degree, and that's in healthcare, advanced manufacturing, construction trades, IT business, and logistics. And for the purpose of this model, we have chosen new-collar jobs in the healthcare field. We are currently collaborating with BCTC. We're actually ramping up a great collaboration with BCTC to align this model with their dual credit pathways. And once we've solidified that alignment, then we will bring the industry partner to the table so that we can all come together and see this vision come to fruition. Our next steps is that we want to continue working alongside the local planning committee to ensure an efficient program rollout. We want to work collaboratively with community partners invested in our innovative programs. And on top of everything, the most important thing out of all of this is we want to ensure that our children remain the forefront of every decision that is being made concerning our new and innovative programs. So there's a lot to be excited about. We're really excited about the work, and we will continue to forge ahead.
All right. Thank you, partner. Nice. All right, so that concludes the superintendent's update.
I have a quick question. The local planning committee, who is on that committee? Because I don't believe we have any board representatives on that committee, if I'm correct. Or is this the regular, this is the other planning? This is not like a program. Okay, now that Myron's coming.
Yeah, it's not.
Correct. That is a 4-year process. So we last
Right.
seated that committee 4 years ago. Next spring, this board will reassemble that with a new committee makeup. And we will start that process in the spring through the fall to develop the new district facility plan that will go into effect 2021.
Perfect. I think in my head, because we were talking about programs, I was thinking a program committee. I was like, I don't think that. I do want to say thank you. You all did an excellent job. I know this is really exciting work. And, you know, we talk about the Spanish immersion, for example, and we talk about how so many little kids don't get in there. But when we look at the middle school and high school level, we see that we have so many awesome programs. We also lose kids because they go to other programs. So by making this program bigger at the beginning, I think we will see more kids graduate fluent in that language, and I think that's really exciting. And I know personally, my family has benefited. I have 2 in programs right now. I have one that just graduated with her CNA from Southside and is now, I think, successful in college. She did not text me back today, but I believe she's alive. So I just want to thank you all for everything that you're doing, and this really is exciting work. And I think especially the piece too about the middle schools, because middle school is just tough, period. I think middle school teachers deserve all the gift cards and all the accolades because those, I mean, it's a tough time anyway, and it's tough to reach these students, and I think coming up with ideas that engage them is just so key. So thank you all for all your innovative and creative work.
Board Member Spires, I mean, I wanted to say just one thing, because Board Member Murphy and I had a discussion, I think it was the other day, just talking about the innovative programs that we have launched. And, you know, as we kind of launched the programs, one of the things that I reflected back into our conversation was around Carter G. Woodson. It was around STEAM Academy. And I think coming out of the box, you know, we knew that we wanted to be innovative, and we did not necessarily have all the answers, but we wanted to give staff the ability to kind of move forward. We had some incentives, I think, with the STEAM Academy regarding the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and some other things as well. And I think there were some learnings that we had from that, and that is to have more of a systematic approach as we start to think about new programs. And so I think in terms of being able to look, have your partners kind of line everything in terms of doing your due diligence and taking the learnings that we had from before, helps the board team to basically think about, because every time we add a new program, that is an expense, right? And then to make sure that we're adding programs that are really helping to drive the agenda of trying to make sure we're providing access for all students. So when you think about the arts and you think about what it takes for a student to go through an audition, what we have seen, the way our system has been in the past, is that if you couldn't afford to have your kid take some of the private lessons and you only have 50 slots, then your kid may have the ability, but have not had the opportunity to nurture that ability because you didn't have the funding. And so here you have a person that's possibly gifted in an area, but because of social economics, you don't necessarily see them rise up in our programs. And so I think one of the things that we're doing in terms of looking at women in engineering and young girls in engineering is to always think about that equity lens of around when we put a program in place, you know, are individuals informed about it? Do we remove the barriers for them to be able to participate in the programs? Because as I looked at the brochure, we have a great plethora of different programs that are out there, you know, the thing that I come back and I say, okay, when I look at the representation of students of poverty, students of color, et cetera, in those programs, do we start to see that it reflects our district? And until we start to see that, we still have some more work to do. So the offerings are one thing, but the thing around how do we introduce them and how do we approach, because some parents may know exactly, they're waiting for the window to open, and other parents are like, what window, right? So I want to commend the district for, I think, thinking in this particular area, but I think as a board team, one of the things that we have to do is to continue to look at our budget, you know, when we don't have new dollars, and try to figure out how do we continue to become more efficient, looking at locations, you know, how do we utilize space for various programs so we don't have to duplicate a lot of services from that perspective. But I do believe that if we are going to continue to be relevant, to be able to drive, and I think the term you used was engagement with students, we cannot do things the old and traditional way. And at the same time, you know, through training, et cetera, we have to invest in our staff to make sure that everybody's being able to embrace the new way as which we deliver services and educate our students. So.
And I want to just say, kind of piggyback off what you said, I had the opportunity to be the keynote speaker at a Pritchard Committee conference this weekend, and it was on parent engagement, and they had a student from SCAPA speaking, and they asked how his parents helped him, and he was like, well, they make me stay on my homework, and I raised my hand, and I said, who got you into SCAPA? And he said, oh, my mom and my dad. And we talked about that piece that you just said, that if a parent doesn't know how to get and to access these programs, then kids are missing out on these opportunities. And so that's, you know, something we want to share. Another thing that I think the programs give us a unique opportunity is we are out of space to build, as Myron will tell us. But sometimes building new and building out isn't the best thing. We have some really great facilities. We are sitting in a really great facility. And so I think one of the ways that we can be good stewards of our dollars is by re-envisioning the spaces that we have. We know some of our schools are getting smaller based on aging populations and changes, and so I think this is a really good thing. And another thing I just want to hit on, which Board Member Love may remember, but this was before Mr. Nash and Mr. Murphy were with us. When the charter school legislation was passed a couple years ago in Frankfort, we had a panel from the Kentucky Department of Education that had all been tasked to work with charter schools come speak to us. And this crew had been recruited and hired from all across the country, and they were working in Frankfort so they could live in Frankfort, Louisville, Shelbyville, Lexington, whatever. And I don't know if you all remember, the entire panel lived in Lexington. And when asked, they said, well, you all are doing such a phenomenal job with program schools, you don't need charter schools. And so I think this is another way that we're innovative and we're really ahead of the curve, because we have found ways to offer unique opportunities for all of our children in our community without having to go down that route and without having to visit that, and to be ahead of the legislation and the program. So I think that said a lot, that entire committee all selected to live in Fayette County. So again, I want to thank all of you all for your hard work.
Well, and to echo what's been said, not to belabor the point, but I appreciate this pamphlet because it's a good summation of the specialized programs, and I agree with what the chair said, that it speaks to the quality of the public schools in this district, which we serve 90% of school-age children, and often we've had this conversation as a board where it's difficult to find a benchmark district or a comparative district in the country that serves a community the size of Fayette County, as well as the percentage of school-age children in that community. And I think that really speaks to the services that we're able to offer, and even not just in our specialized programs, but I truly feel that in any school, our children are getting a quality education. And the conversation's been had, you know, we're approaching that time of year when the stars are coming out, and there was a headline, unfortunately, today that talked about good schools and bad schools. I don't think that you're going to find a bad school here, and that speaks to the work that we're doing, and it shows that kind of level of choice. We hear a lot about school choice. We hear a lot about quality, but that can happen in a public school setting with the right supports in place, and we're working to do that. But as we've had the conversation before, there's only so much that we can do at this level. And that's why every one of us is going to be working to make sure that we get the support from higher up, that we, don't go down the road of vouchers and all those things that can run the risk of really preventing us from continuing to offer these supports for our students. So our public schools are doing a good job in serving this community, and that speaks to the work that you all are doing and all of our teachers and staff are doing every day.
I'll just say this. I just think that we cannot let up off the gas when it comes to driving the equity in terms of access, but also beyond the access of just opening the door. We should start to see the action and, looking at students who are actually enrolling in our programs. I mean, that's sometimes where we can say it's great that we have the offering, but how can we continue to increase the representation? And that was one of the goals when we started to think about, gifted and talented. We heard that a lot a couple of years ago, and there was a charge around how do we identify students. And then, of course, now it's like, how do we offer the program? So I think the intentionality is, the aspect is you can just create a nice program, and that's great. But to make sure that it's inclusive, it's almost, you have to have some action of steering to make sure that we continue to make sure everyone has an opportunity to access the information, and it becomes that. So I think we can't necessarily, when it comes down to the equity piece of that, it's just we want everybody to be able to participate and be a part of our programs that we have.
That's right. And so, and it's interesting, I don't want you to go back, Bob, but if you recall the why, and that why are statements around our equity agenda. And so the whole purpose with our new and innovative programs is around catalyzing that equity and creating that access and opportunity for more students such that they start to reflect the demography of our student population. It's about giving everyone sort of the opportunity. And I think this is the right work. So just a thumbnail sketch. We're doing high school transformation, elementary turnaround, reimagining our middle schools, and still driving new and innovative programs that catalyze equity. That's the work we're doing in Fayette County. So thank you, partner. All right. Next, under Superintendent's report, I'd like to ask our equity officer, Mr. Daryl Thompson, to give us an update on our equity work. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight I'm going to introduce you all to Mr. Gary Cremines. Gary's with the United Way to Bluegrass. We also invited the new CEO, President of United Way, Timothy Johnson. Mr. Johnson has been pulled left and right. I think he's been in the city now 2 weeks full by way of Washington, D.C. And we've had some events with him one-on-one. Superintendent Kalk was actually present September 11th, where United Way launched their annual campaign. They also recognized Fayette County Public Schools, and I think Ms. Daly has the plaque to her side that was shared with us. She'll pass that around as we're presenting. We also had Katie Williams, who's the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communications. She was unable to be here today, but Gary's here, who's our Director for Community Education. As you all may not have heard, I think back in February through May, the Promise Academies and Promise Neighborhood work began. This conversations around collective impact. We've done some study and some exploratory conversations, visiting Washington, D.C., participating in the Strive Network, which basically looks at the collective impact work of how our community partners, and you know one of our core values that it takes entire community to ensure the success of our public schools. Knowing that, we have to continue to partner with great organizations like the United Way of the Bluegrass, and they've been great partners with us over the years, and tonight we want to showcase their work as well as their transformation as they bring on new leadership and move us in the same direction with the outside in, the 17 hours that our students spend in the community outside of our schools. And so I'm going to turn it over to Gary. He's going to kind of give you an overview of where we are moving towards as partners. We've got a task force that's been formed real quickly around this conversation. We have our first meeting in the morning at 8:30 at their offices to begin the conversations of how can we completely realign the work about collective impact, particularly since Mr. Johnson's work and body of work has been around this space. So it's timely and it's appropriate, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Cremines.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to talk a little bit about the partnership between United Way of the Bluegrass and Fayette County Public Schools, how we can continue that partnership and expand it and continue our work to meet some common goals, some really critical common goals that benefit the students and families of Fayette County Public Schools. So just quickly, United Way of the Bluegrass, our mission is to help all Central Kentuckians live their best lives. And to do that, we engage the community to join together in the fight against poverty and other critical health and human service issues that face those most in need. And United Way, we've been doing this work in this community for just shy of 100 years. Yearly, we help over 131,000 people through United Way funded programs. 38,000 of those roughly are children. And United Way of the Bluegrass provides funding for 81 partner agencies, our nonprofit partner agencies. That encompasses 140 separate programs, as we fund programs, not full funding for agencies. So it's very specific to the programs. That allows us to then track accountability and see the efficacy of those programs. So that way we can justify that those dollars are being used in the best possible fashion. So the work that United Way and our agency partners do is critical. You know, many families and students face some very serious obstacles every day, and it makes learning difficult, it makes the future success of those students difficult. As Superintendent Kalk pointed out earlier, across the state of Kentucky, 50% of our students come to kindergarten not ready to learn. They do not meet the minimum threshold for the Brigance. It's not a high bar. In addition to that, 2 out of 5 high school graduates aren't ready for life after high school. That means being college or career ready, 2 out of 5. And here in Central Kentucky, our United Way serves 9 counties, Fayette County obviously being one of those. And we have over 50,000 working families who are struggling to make ends meet. That's maybe the most telling statistic of all, because as you know, that has a direct impact on the children of those families and their ability to come to school prepared to learn. So there are myriad organizations that are doing this work, and we are able, as United Way, to help those organizations through funding. And we are able to do that and to make a difference because of organizations like Fayette County Public Schools. So our campaign last year, we renewed our focus and we made some very intentional efforts through Fayette County Public Schools, had some wonderful partners within the district giving us a hand in that. And the campaign last year was a $37,000 campaign. So FCPS employees raised $37,000 for the community through the workplace campaign. That was an increase of $28,000 over the previous year. Impressive. That was huge. Those funds support local partners and programs and people working to make impacts in the areas of education, financial stability, and basic needs. So those are programs that are impacting our friends, families, and neighbors right here in Fayette County. So part of that effort was a participation program contest, a little friendly competition, or maybe not so friendly in some cases, between the schools as to who could have the highest level of participation. And our winner was Maxwell Elementary School. Second place was Beaumont Middle School, and third place was Wellington Elementary. So Maxwell, with top honors, they had 37% of their staff pledge gifts through the annual campaign. As a result, they received a United Promise grant from United Way for $2,500 to help support student success. That's the picture up top there. That's Katie, our marketing director. Beaumont Middle at second place received a catered lunch for staff, courtesy of Jay Renders, Southern Table and Bar, and Wellington Elementary enjoyed coffee and donuts for staff to honor their efforts. Now, I think it's very appropriate too, and this is just serendipitous, I suppose, that the Transportation Department was honored tonight because they were one of 2 departments that had the highest giving amounts. Oh, so let's hear it for the generosity of the Transportation Department. Right. Yes. And Marcus's leadership was really key in that effort. The other department with the highest giving amount was the technology department. So I mentioned United Promise, the United Promise grant. Just to touch base on that, last November, United Way of the Bluegrass and Valvoline presented a check totaling $20,239.30, to be exact, to Fayette County Public Schools at the district leadership meeting. Now, those funds were awarded through the United Way of the Bluegrass United Promise Fund in partnership with Valvoline. United Promise directs grant funding to classrooms and schools across the district to help improve student success. So the way that works, each year, FCPS employees, and FCPS employees only, have the option to designate their United Way gift to the United Promise Fund. Those dollars raised for United Promise via FCPS employee contributions are available to be granted back to FCPS schools and programs the following year. Annually, United Promise funds are made available to schools and classrooms through one-time grant allocations ranging from $500 to $2,500 to help support student success. So requests for proposals are submitted, and those are reviewed, and all grant decisions are made each year by the United Way Fayette County Board of Trustees. Now, as a result of last year's workplace campaign with Fayette County Public Schools, the following schools in Fayette County were awarded grants through United Promise. James Lane Allen Elementary received a $1,000 grant. Bryan Station Middle, Edith J. Hayes Middle, Lexington Traditional Magnet, Southern Middle, and Winburn Middle all received $1,400 grants. Mill Creek Elementary received a grant for $2,239, and Maxwell Elementary received a grant for $2,500. Now, we are looking forward to providing even more grant funding as a result of the upcoming FCPS campaign. So the more dollars that flow in that are designated to United Promise, those dollars will come back to the district. I think that's a key element as we move forward in that effort. Also, in recognition of Fayette County Public Schools' outstanding partnership and commitment to the Bluegrass, United Way's Live United Award, I think it was making its way around the table, was presented to FCPS and accepted by Superintendent Kalk earlier this month at the United Way of the Bluegrass annual campaign kickoff luncheon. The award was presented to FCPS for dedication and tireless work on behalf of students and their families, as well as your partnership and vision with regard to engaging the community in the work of providing all students with the tools and opportunities to be successful in life. Through your actions, investments, and dedication to building a stronger Bluegrass, you demonstrate what it means to live united in Central Kentucky. I think you all know the guy on the right. The guy on the left is, in fact, our new CEO and president of United Way of the Bluegrass, Timothy Johnson.
All right, yes.
More about him in a moment. So after a successful campaign last year, we are very pleased to report that Fayette County Public Schools is once again back in the top 25 list of organizations contributing to United Way of the Bluegrass.
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you. Outstanding. We value your partnership each and every day, not just through your generosity in the yearly workplace campaign, but also through our shared collaborations, our relationships, and the programs that we work on together to create positive change and meaningful impact in the lives of our students and our families. So thank you for that. That's great. We're going to move up that list too, as well as United Way of the Bluegrass at 17. We're going to try to keep climbing as well. So, lastly, to wrap up, just share a little bit of news again. Mr. Thompson touched on this. So at United Way, we are undertaking a little bit of a change in how we do our work. So we've assembled the Collective Impact Task Force in the effort to revamp our programming and our funding model to better meet the challenges of our region. So we're soliciting feedback and guidance from the community as we endeavor to reframe our work and to make deeper impacts in the programming and initiatives that support our youth and our families. And we know that Fayette County Public Schools will be a critical partner in that effort as we move forward. We did recently welcome Timothy Johnson on as our new president and CEO, and Timothy does have an extensive background in the collective impact design and programming in his work in Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. And he's going to be a key driver of this effort as we rely on his expertise as we move forward. And we're very excited to begin this new phase of United Way of the Bluegrass, and we're so very thankful to have Fayette County Public Schools on board as a partner as we move forward. And lastly, the 2019 and 2020 FCPS campaign will kick off on October 7th. So please stay tuned for more information and announcements, and just know that we greatly appreciate and value your support, and we look forward to growing our partnership to have even deeper impact to help our students and our families live their best lives. Because we have limitless potential in this community, and we just need to tap into that so that everyone has a chance to succeed.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I had the opportunity on Friday night to meet Mr. Johnson at the Big Brothers Big Sisters event, and we talked a little bit about the neighborhood initiative and some of the work. So I'm excited to meet him and to be partnering with you all. And this is awesome, a shameless plug, because at the Big Brothers Big Sisters event, where Fayette County also was recognized for our contribution, they announced that 200 students are on the waiting list for a big brother or big sister. That's 200 people that want a person that's a special person in their life, and that's just one of our many mentoring programs in our community. So anyone watching at home or sitting in the audience, I encourage you to get involved with our program and our partnership, Give 10 or Give Back to this community, and volunteer in our schools. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks again. Thank you, Daryl. Great. All right. At this time, I'd like to ask our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Myron Thompson, to come forward and present. Let's do the monthly construction report. What's going on at Brenda Cowan? Are we there yet? 100% complete? Close. Okay.
Close. Next month, I should be wrapping it up, so. Here's a snapshot of our construction partners, and you will see that we are almost there. We're still finalizing sections A and B of the facility. Have a few pictures to show you, the rendering, and it does look just like that very pretty facility, as you're all aware. For the month of August, the media center was wrapped up. We had painting 80% complete in the corridors of A and B. The terrazzo flooring was complete in sectors A and B, 85%. The sidewalk, 95%. Sod, 90%. The food service equipment was 100%, as well as the south brick retaining walls. 50% of the windows were installed in sectors A and B. The finished grading was 80% complete. The clear story windows, 90% installed, and the playground area sidewalks are 95% complete. I was out there today, and Principal Williams is very excited about getting the kids on the playground. So the casework is 100% complete in sectors A and B. The ceilings, 98%. The clear story windows in the area are 100% complete as of this month. The storm and earthwork is done. The window installation is complete. Our final grading is to be completed this month. Sidewalks are 100% complete. The retaining walls are complete. Casework in sectors A and B, as well as the terrazzo, has wrapped up. Our plumbing fixtures have been installed in the storefront there. Looking at the facility, is 95% complete. A few pictures. The media center is just marvelous. The maker space, the areas are just phenomenal. So a few more pictures there of Brenda Cowan, and again, next month we will be putting a ribbon on this one finally. So but
is there a
yes.
preschool in Brenda Cowan, or is that just planning ahead?
We have it built in. We don't have students there.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Having a moment.
Yeah. So, transitioning to STEAM and Success Academies, again, a snapshot of our partners. Very little activity thus far, but we are making progress.
The fence is up.
What's that?
The fence is up.
Oh, yes, construction fencing. So,
the fence is up.
Rendering of the facility, transforming it into an educational facility. For the month of August, our contractor has mobilized and the equipment materials are there. We've set up a field office in a corner of the gym, which I'll show you a picture of. The steel and concrete filled pans for the sanctuary and tiered seating and balcony have been demolished. Demolition in areas B and C is now 85% complete, and we're progressing in area A. The second floor demo has begun as well. Our foundation locations were laid out in area B, and the slab has been cut. We have trenching that has occurred in areas A and B for our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing under slab items. For the month of September, we have our silt fence and temporary job fence to be installed. Our site demos to begin in the areas where geothermal drilling is to take place. Our interior building demolition is nearly complete in areas A and C, and to continue in area B with the stair demo to occur. Our foundations are to be completed in area B and to begin in areas A and C, and our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing under slab rough ends are to begin in area B. Again, a lot of demo work and cutting of concrete and setting of foundations and things of that nature. So we are progressing right along, and there's the little field office for our GC. And we're just extremely excited about this project. Had a chance to meet with Tina and her team last week, and we're just moving straight ahead. That concludes my report.
It's funny, all I can think about is that poor sod that you just laid, and how the irony is you're just now laying it because of all the rain we had in the spring. And now that poor sod is probably struggling.
A drought, go figure, so.
Thank you, Myron.
All right.
All right. And I do want to commend you, Myra, once again for the temporary location for the Success Academy. Had a chance to go out there, Spur Road, and what you and Dr. Ross have done to make it feel like home for our children, some of our most vulnerable children, is to be commended. And I'm going to ask you to stay at the table there. I'm going to invite some mothers to come up with you to give an update on our 10-point comprehensive safety investment plan.
The 10-point safety plan, the items on the left belong to me, and we will cover those. The high school and middle school ID badges are fully implemented. Our Crisis Go platform has been implemented, and we are currently at 29 schools with our ongoing training, meeting with principals and staff on that. Our DTEX door alarms are in place, and school protocols have been established there. Our door access points in all of our facilities now, we didn't have that before. Same with security cameras. All schools now have cameras installed, as well as DVR recorder updates have been completed. And our secure vestibules, which is a major construction project for us, has been developed. The contractor has shared the schedule. We've shared that with principals, and we will be starting next month and be running that through December of 2020 to get all of those secure vestibule projects complete for our schools. So extremely excited about that. Our metal detectors and security ambassadors, again, have been implemented at 4 of our 6 high schools, A1 high schools. Lafayette is in progress, and we are pushing Henry Clay till next year to coincide with the secure vestibule. It's just going to be too cumbersome to try to roll that out. We took a look at it, and it just will not work this year. So we will aggressively get to that next year once the secure vestibule is in place and some additional construction for the metal detectors.
Myron, can you talk a little bit about Lafayette? So I've heard from more parents than I have in any of the other school for metal detector rollout. I'm wondering, is Lafayette unique in any way, or are we having a bit of amnesia in terms of what happened at the other schools and just experiencing the same growing pains at Lafayette?
Will, when you look at our rollout plan, we knew that Lafayette and Henry Clay were going to be the most challenging from an implementation standpoint. Each school is very unique in its configuration, so we pushed those two to the last. So as we've gotten into the process at Lafayette, we did have some lines that we worked through. We've sort of met with administration. We've changed some things around. The process has become more fluid. We no longer have the lines that are extremely long, and we're sort of improving upon that. And so I think that we have sort of, again, each I think rollout is a little unique, and we've learned a few things with this particular rollout, and I think things have much improved and will be going forward.
And I think it's also, I'm sorry, please.
No, I'm good, thank you.
I think it's also, even though it's unique, there's some consistencies because you're asking people to change and change behavior. And so anytime you're asking students to change a new process, you're going to go slow to go fast. It's no different than at Dunbar when they had the article about it's a prison or something like that, right?
Sure.
Guess what? Attendance is up. Students are learning. Students are national merit semifinalists there, and they're having a great experience. And so what we're doing is hardening the building but softening the school. And so that's the adjustment period, and as students adjust, just like at the other high schools, it's going to become even seamless as we move forward.
Certainly, and the administrators there have been great, and we are changing the process again, refining, and we're going to have a process that will get all the children undercover, and we'll be processing inside the facility. So we're in good shape.
And Mr. Daniels is not here, but I know he has visited some of these schools at opening to kind of report back to us, and he says that he's not seeing the lines and that things have definitely improved.
And just to clarify, because I know there was some reporting about a student's EpiPen and everything, nothing was confiscated from a student.
No.
That is my understanding. I mean, it was checked, but nothing was taken in that way, correct? Yeah, yeah, excellent. Thank you.
All right.
All right. All right, Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so total, we're at 60 officers. So with the last 2 officers that we've hired, put us at 60. Thank you. 2 graduated this past week from the Department of Criminal Justice Training Academy, so we're on-ramping them through the FTO process. We've got 3 more in the academy right now that will graduate here in the next couple months. We have 2 more that start later this month and will be immediately transitioned into the academy. So with these numbers here, the 60 plus the 5 additional spots for this coming year, that will put 4 in every high school, 1 in every middle school, 1 in every program school, and that will put us at 1 officer for every 2 elementaries. So we are...
Yes, that's progress. No new taxes, no new taxes.
No new taxes. Correct. So we're excited about that. Of course, some of these folks are, like I said, are in the academy or are slated to go to the academy. So it will be some time to get them on-ramped and trained, but we do have the people in place. One person I'd like to talk about tonight is Sergeant Chris Gatewood. He's the sergeant of Area 6 or Frederick Douglass High School. He just completed 10 weeks at the National Academy for the FBI in Quantico. And so he is the first person in our department to ever go. It was about a 2-year process for him between applying. There was a screening process, and there was some physical fitness type selection criteria. And then he started in July and completed here in September. He was able to complete some graduate coursework while he was there. He did a lot of his curriculum based on leadership philosophies, and also officer wellness, which is obviously a big hot topic. So we're proud of him. We hope to send another person in the coming year or 2 to continue, but we're really excited about him. He'll also be featured on our FCPS website here shortly.
All right.
Pending your questions.
Okay, Chief.
All right, just an update on our district mental health specialists. We currently have 43 specialists employed, serving nearly every elementary school, several of our middle schools, and 4 of our high schools. Our goal is to continue to expand that, to be able to reduce our ratio even further. At this point, we are sitting right around 250 to 1 at the elementary level, 300 to 1 at the middle school level, and with the addition of mental health specialists to serve all of our high schools, we can lower those to even 225 to 1 at the high school level. Our SEL curriculum at this point, it is up to our school site-based decision-making councils whether or not to adopt recommended curricula.
Sorry, I'm having a sciatic nerve issue. I was hoping that I'd have something I could tell you for sure tonight. We had some really great meetings over the past month. We are looking at some very specific proposals and moving forward with a model that will work, one model that would work in schools with that serve a high percentage of students in poverty, and one model that would work in our schools that do not have high numbers of students in poverty. We're looking at some surveys that we can give to our students to help us identify needs and data trends throughout the district. So that's where we are on that. And we just continue to monitor our social media and get our alerts and work as a team to troubleshoot those and determine if they warrant additional action. And FAMU, when's our next date for FAMU? November 9th will be our next Family University, where we'll once again be working to provide safety training and updates for our families.
And do we have any more updates? I know we mentioned this at last meeting on the Medicaid reimbursement for schools.
Yes, that will not be something we are able to do. Okay. The requirements for doing that would actually require us to hire medical staff in order to do that. The level of screening that is Medicaid billable is, requires an individual 45-minute assessment with the individual student. It's not something that we would be able to do with our folks at the district level. And also in talking with Doug Adams, who's got much more experience in this area, he said that going into the Medicaid billing would actually hurt our ability to help some other students. And so it's something that certainly the partners we're working with will be able to utilize to help them cover the costs and reduce the amount of costs that the district pays, but it's not something we'll be able to do as the school district.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that, Mr. Murphy.
No, it's okay.
That brings us to the fun stuff. We have worked on finalizing our budget.
Excuse me, Ms. Mullins, yeah, there you go, partner.
We have worked on finalizing our budget, our safety budget for the year, and we just want to go over some highlights. We have it organized into the 10-point areas. We are recommending that we hire 11 additional law enforcement officers for the 1920 school year. That will bring up a total of 26 additional officers in the 2-year period of time. Also, on the mental health, we are...
Jelaine, can you pull the microphone a little more in front of you? I'm worried that the people at home won't get to this.
Can you hear me now? Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go back to law enforcement officers. We are recommending that we add 11 additional officers for the 1920 school year. That will make a total of 26 additional officers over the 2-year period of time that we've had the safety initiative. We are also recommending 19 additional mental health for the 1920 school year, and we have a total of 43 mental health positions that we have put in place over the 2-year period of time. Also, we're going to continue with our interior and our exterior facility upgrades. We are constantly looking at our security cameras and the need to replace those. And as we look at our SBDM initiatives, we need to make sure that we have some funding available to move forward with some of those building enhancements that are requested in that plan. As Myron suggested earlier, we have moved forward with our student and our staff ID badges for the upcoming school year for all high school staff, as well as Lisa talked a little bit about our comprehensive assessment and health promotion. We have earmarked some dollars there as we review the plans that are coming in, and also our school nurses are there. And this last year we expanded the high school to a full-time nurse, and this year we expanded additional support for our CSI schools. Our metal detectors and our security ambassadors, as Myron had said earlier, we are hoping to roll out Lafayette this year. Our other 4 high schools are already on board, and we are planning on Henry Clay to roll out when the vestibules are completed there. Also included in that are like our security ambassadors that help getting our kids in and out of the early morning, and some support with working the door in relationship to the schools that don't have vestibules, as well as some dollars to help cover where employees are helping with the security ambassadors with the student check-ins in the morning.
Quick question on that, Superintendent Cotton.
Yes.
This might be best directed to you. The security ambassadors, are we and I heard Julian say there's some staff are involved, but we're outsourcing to a company that is hiring those ambassadors, correct? We are not directly hiring those ambassadors.
That's correct. What Julaine is talking about are our greeters. So if you go to Henry Clay High School, for example, right, our staff person there is a Fayette County employee because we do not have a secured vestibule, so we have a person there to greet and to welcome and to direct visitors to log into our system, go to the main office, etc. So anywhere where we do not have a secure vestibule, we have hired a staff to be at the entry point to the school. The security ambassadors, where we contract out, are in place where we have the walk-through metal detectors only.
Well, and I think one of the questions, and I wish if Mr. Daniels was here tonight, but, as we work with these contractors and stuff, these guys are actually the first people that our students see when they walk in the school, and they're not FCPS employees. So I think when we meet with, when we talk about the contractors and we talk about the contracts and the capacity and we move forward, that's something we really need to kind of scrutinize, monitor. I'm not really sure what's the word I'm looking for, but when I hear students, the first person they meet is not one of us. And so just looking at that and making sure we're acknowledging that and kind of recognizing.
That's not necessarily a true statement, because if a student's coming into the school, depending on the entry point, the principal or school staff is there as well. They're there in terms of metal detectors and assist and do the bag screening, but you're walking into a school.
You're walking into a school.
You may see everyone at the same time, so it's not as if they're out front and they're greeting you. Now, once you're in the building, if you go to a Frederick Douglass High School, for example, then you will, or Bryan Station, and you walk in, then the person there would be a greeter, but also security ambassadors if you're coming in through the main entrance. But for students, as they're coming in the morning, it could be staff, it could be a security ambassador, etc. It's not always just a security ambassador. Most schools want to make sure that they're out there to greet their students. It could be law enforcement. It just depends on how you deploy.
And just to clarify for the public, because this may be a little bit confusing, even though some of the secure vestibules will be built in 1920 and even 2021, those funds have already been set aside in the previous fiscal year, correct? And that's why it's not showing up there.
That is correct. Yeah. We were able to put aside all the funds needed in the 18-19 school year, so those projects could move forward uninterrupted.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. As Lisa indicated, we are moving forward. As Lisa indicated, we are moving forward with our social media monitoring, as well as we have allocated funds for our education and training, and included in this pocket is our SEL curriculum for our elementary and high schools, as well as some placeholder for our middle schools when they adopt. We have some family and community training set aside here, as well as safe crisis training. We are also continuing to move forward with our Crisis Go emergency management system software, as well as included, or we are moving forward with a sign-in software as required by our SB1 implementation. It will be rolled out across the entire district. I believe we're using a company called Raptor. So that should be rolled out very soon. And we also are looking at another app for our transportation. This app would be used to update parents when a bus is late, or if it's been in an accident, or just to keep them abreast. Just to keep them abreast of changes going on in the regular route, to make sure that if their little one's not home on time, that they understand why.
Or running on time.
Yes.
And it's important to look at some of the pre-filed bills. There's one pre-filed bill around transportation that's looking to assess sort of a fine for anyone who, a motorist school does not yield to the stop arm that's on the bus. And if that'll be considered in this upcoming legislative session. And if that's approved, it's requiring all buses to have cameras on that stop arm, right? So, and as I talked to our drivers at transportation, that was one of the themes that emerged around motorists who are just disobeying that stop arm and failing to follow our traffic laws, right? And so that's a bill that I don't know where it's going to go, but I fully support just based on my conversation with our drivers. Please.
You all would be surprised how many people run the stop sign.
Exactly.
This is what they give me when they do it.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
They're doing it on purpose. That's what they're telling you. I'm not going to stop for that stop sign. And they give me that.
Yeah.
And they tell us not to set on the horn, but I apologize. I do.
That's kind of the only recourse we got.
Go right ahead.
So this brings our total up to the 13,282, 431, and it completes our plan for the year.
I just have two questions.
Yes,
Okay, so go back to point number 3, the exterior and interior facility upgrades of 1.7. Now, I think you mentioned earlier with point number 7, we've kind of set aside some dollars. But for point number 3, what will that actually be used for?
Myron, I'm going to ask you to come forward. Talk about, as a former high school, as a former principal, the needs around the camera system as
Daryl, these camera systems and everything that we're putting in is very sophisticated, high-tech, and it treat it like a computer. I mean, you know, within a certain amount of time, it's going to become somewhat obsolete or needs to be repaired or replaced. So there's a certain amount of that needs to occur every year in terms of having cameras in all 60 of our buildings. We're going to have a replacement cycle to get those taken care of.
So what percentage of cameras did we actually replace and upgrade this past year?
I don't have that specific number. We were more in tune with installing in the places that didn't have new.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
There were about 26 schools
gotcha.
that did not have a camera system at all. Was Maxwell one of them?
I believe so.
Exactly. And so, as I notified you over the weekend, because of that camera system, now we're better able to partner with our local, the Lexington Metro Police Department, in order to apprehend the perpetrators who vandalized that property. So,
But it's also my understanding too, the doors, because part of SB1 is like interior classroom doors have to be able to be locked from the inside. So that would be part of that as well.
Correct. And the door alarms, I mean, kind of all of the infrastructure that we've put in place, there's going to be a certain amount of just replacement costs that will occur.
window shades, right, part of SB1, the window shades that we have to do. And if you look at a school like Frederick Douglass, that's beautiful, natural light, look at those windows that you're going to have to cover with something quickly. So,
Speaking of which, I guess when we think about rolling out Tex Creek and kind of basing it a little bit upon that, we're going to take that in consideration, right?
Sir.
All right, so then my other question was really around the badges. So we talked about students and badges have all been issued this year. So we look at that 110 as being an overall annual cost for each year. Okay, gotcha. That's it. Thank you.
I just want to get a point of clarification. Both Superintendent Koch and Mr. Murphy mentioned Senate Bill 1, but that's really stuff for the next year. And while we're forward thinking, we haven't actually tackled some of that, right? Because we're hopeful still.
we have tackled. So when you think about Senate Bill 1, a lot of the strategies, mental health professionals, it actually says counselors, 1 to 250.
Right.
We know that they're going to hopefully
Some of
change
the
that
specific
language.
mandates that they have put in place, we are hoping to go back and we're hoping they'll fund some of these mandates in this next year, and we're planning, I mean, some of them are for implementation the following year.
That's correct. So, but what we're hoping for, and let me sort of add on to expound on what you're saying. As we are using we're grateful for the investment that our community made around our values and make sure our children are safe. looking at the mental health professionals of a ratio of 1 to 250. If Senate Bill 1 adds additional, funds Senate Bill 1 fully, including the mental health professionals, what we would do then is if the state increases their effort, we will reduce the local effort.
Any more questions?
So my only question is, would it be possible to get this side-by-side budget from last year and this projected budget for the next year so that we can more easily talk about the evolution of spending?
Yes.
Great.
Great question, Mr.
Great question. All right, thank you, team.
Thank you all.
And with that, concludes the superintendent's report. At this time, I turn the meeting back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So this is this exceptionally long meeting, and I'm not going to let you go away, but if you need to stand up and take a movement break for a moment, this is your moment to reach up or stretch if anybody needs to stretch. So this is also the part of our meeting where we have remarks by citizens. Members of the public may address the board during the period set up aside by the board without submitting an item for the agenda. No action shall be taken during this portion of the meeting on issues raised by employees or the public unless deemed an emergency by the board. At this time, we do not have any speakers signed up this evening, so I'm going to move on to approval of routine matters. At this time, I am going to entertain a motion for all the minutes, and then if we need to go back and break out, we can. But I'm entertaining a motion to approve the board the minutes from the following board meetings: August 12th, 2019 planning meeting, the minutes of the August 15th, 2019 special meeting, the minutes of the 2019 special meeting, and the minutes of the August 26th, 2019 regular meeting.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Murphy.
Second.
Second by Mr. Love. Is there any further questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve all the consent items as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nash,
Second.
second by Mr. Murphy. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. At this time, Mr. Sayer, if you would like to come forward. The first item on tonight's agenda is approval of the proposed revisions to the middle school. The first item on tonight's agenda is approval of the proposed revisions to the middle school athletic handbook. District Athletics Director Rob Sayer presented these changes to you at our planning meeting, and the board had an opportunity for discussion and questions at that time. But Rob is here this evening if anyone has any questions. So if we don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
to approve changes to the middle school athletic guidelines for the 2019-2020 school year as recommended by the staff.
So
Second.
moved.
Motion by Mr. Love.
Second.
Second by Mr. Murphy. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. At this time, a motion is in order to approve a contract with Jim Mulvihill Tours. And the background rationale is that the contract with the district is an expenditure amount above $30,000 must be approved by a board vote. This month, district staff would like to enter into an agreement with Jim Mulvihill Tours to provide transportation to Washington, D.C. and back.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Murphy, a second by Mr. Nash. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. At this time, I'd like to approve a motion for the Fayette County Public Schools final working budget for the, wait, we're not there yet.
Yes.
We are there yet.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to read his script, my script, everybody's script. Approve the Fayette County Public Schools final working budget for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Love,
Second.
a second by Mr. Nash. I just want to interject at this time that the reason we've kind of moved forward this, if you're just watching this, is that we've been able to discuss this at the planning meeting a few weeks ago. Board members have had time to offer their questions to the staff, and so we've been able to vet our questions over the past few weeks. Is there any further questions, though, at this time?
No, I'll just say, Madam Chair, that I know I raised concerns in May, and I appreciate our ability to have that conversation we're probably, all of us are probably tired of seeing each other, all the meetings that we've been in, especially around the tax discussion. I appreciate the budget and finance staff for working with us and answering our questions as well. Obviously, no budget is perfect, but we're at a point where this is something that I'm comfortable getting behind.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. A motion is in order to, oh, no, now we need the monthly treasurer's report.
All right, first. Come on forward. It's our last action item this evening.
We got one more.
No.
Because we amended the
Yes.
agenda.
Yes, we do have one more. That's right. Sorry about that. Next to last, so don't worry. So we have our Chief Financial Officer, John White, Associate Director for Finance, Tiffany Williams, who's going to present our monthly financial report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The general fund review for the month of August 2019 shows the revenue as roughly $89.5 million and the expenses as roughly $28 million. And the general fund balance is approximately $61 million for this fiscal year. For the general fund comparative overview between the current year 2020 and the prior year 2019 is the fund balance is $61 million this fiscal year. It was $47 million for fiscal year 2019, which is $14 million higher than last year. The summary of all funds combined has total revenue of approximately $160.5 million and total expenditures of roughly $44.7 million with a net fund balance of approximately $115.8 million as shown by the black arrow. The detail of all funds combined for Fund 1 through Fund 7000 shows a net change in fund balance of $115.8 million, which ties to the summary amount of all funds combined on the previous page. The total operating revenue with the beginning balance is $89.5 million this fiscal year. It was $71 million in fiscal year 2019, which is about $18.5 million more compared to last fiscal year.
That would be the fund balance sheet.
The total operating revenue without the beginning balance is $18 million this fiscal year. It was $19 million for fiscal year 2019, which is $1 million less than last year for August. And the total expenditures are $28 million for this fiscal year of 2020. It was $24 million last fiscal year, which increased by approximately $4 million in comparison to August of last year. The general fund balance sheet shows total assets of $69 million and total liabilities of $8 million. Our financial position remains sound in relation to assets versus liabilities. The trust fund balances are $234,019 for the Marcy Thomason Fund, $19,342 for the Dorothy Smith Fund, and $40,121 for the John Price Fund. And all other trust funds are in the process of being transferred to the Bluegrass Community Foundation. Are there any questions?
Well, I'll just add that we did receive a donation from the, was it Springfield Chamber? I don't know if of an amount, a check, probably $1,000 for our Education Foundation. All right, and get a hand for that. Okay, you got to start somewhere, right? So that'll get added to the foundation dollars, if you will.
I have a couple questions, if you don't mind, on the treasurer's report. I had a question about the on behalf payments. The tentative budget has us at this point in the fiscal year at $137.5 million, but we've gotten $124 million at this point. Is it what might explain that discrepancy on? Because we're anticipating more in the on-behalf payments. Is that just the payment schedule? Or
Less in all-
oh, less, okay.
on behalf from the
Oh.
tentative to the final work.
I'm sorry, John, can you speak into the mic
Yeah,
closer?
we're expecting less. On behalf went down from tentative to final working.
Okay, so it's gone down. Is there, what might explain that? It's just,
Well, the state tells us what that dollar is,
Okay.
and we don't get it until late. And this is what we know as of now, what we think it's going to be for FY20.
okay, okay. Excellent. And then on the a similar question on the fund transfers, because tentative had $5.5 million on fund transfers. Current budget balance year-to-date is 20.4.
Little X mark.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Excellent, thank you.
Good questions, Mr. Murphy.
Great questions.
All right, at this time, a motion is in order to accept the monthly treasurer's report of revenue expense reports as presented to the board.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nash,
Second.
second by Mr. Murphy. Any further questions for us to discuss? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, John. Thank you, Tiffany.
On Friday, September 20th, 2019, the Fayette County Public Schools Board of Education met with Superintendent Koch for his annual performance evaluation. The board uses a process developed by the Kentucky School Board Association that measures the following: strategic leadership, instructional leadership, cultural leadership, human resource leadership, managerial leadership, collaborative leadership, and influential leadership. Superintendent Koch was rated as accomplished or exemplary in each of the 7 areas. Highlights from the past year that were noted in the evaluation include the following. Superintendent Koch has created a clear direction that has been established based on a district strategic plan. From the plan, the district has aligned their work and investment accordingly. He conducted the second Superintendent Leadership Institute that created a platform for sharing the district's strategic direction while providing training. The 2019 State of the Schools Address and the FCPS Annual Report, Keeping Our Promise, were also highlights. The Safety Advisory Council convened their work. The comprehensive safety plan was developed and implemented, and the 5-cent dedicated safety tax was approved. We had implementation of the ELA and math curriculums and purchase of the science curriculum, and technically we purchased the emotional learning curriculum, I think, right at the end, like the beginning of this year, but we went ahead and felt that that was a highlight as well. Increased professional development opportunities in 2018-2019. The MAP data shows growth in the district. We had a fun time in June at the 4th annual FCPS Family Reunion. The family universities continue to grow and be a success to reach families in our community. The 212 awards are a great way to recognize employees who exemplify the value of the district. We had strategic legislative approach and engagement of district employees in the process. Over 50% of families responded to the family survey. Curriculum training for principals on how to support, implement, and measure student outcomes. Personal learning opportunities for our classified staff. We had new teacher orientation. Over 6,000 employees have had implicit bias training, and we are working towards becoming a 100% trauma-informed district. Bus driver pay increased, and FCPS started the 2019 school year without a bus driver shortage. Approval and implementation of CSI turnaround plans, effective and responsive operations teams, updated district facilities plan, alignment of resources with the strategic plan and district diagnostic review to achieve district's goals for achievements and instruction. We again, for the 2nd year in a row, increased gifted and talented ELL and special education instructors at targeted schools and throughout the district. We presented and passed a budget that put students first and protected the classroom from cuts, aligning with the district's strategic plan, especially in the face of state budget cuts. And this is last year's budget, but we thankfully just did the same thing again this evening. Superintendent Koch manages with integrity. We feel that he's done a great job at assessing the programs and resource allocation for relevancy and impact, and we saw this evening again some of the plans for future programs. Great partnerships with First 5 Lex, YMCA, Urban League, the Mayor's Office, and several more, and opening up of the Success Academy. The board also set some goals for Superintendent Koch for 2019-2020, and we are included within these goals. One of the goals is that we've heard from some of you too. We, at these meetings, tend to report out a lot of information, and one of the things is that we would like to get back to giving quarterly updates on the strategic planning process at board meetings. This is something we had done in the past, but then when we've come up with the 10-point safety, we've kind of backed away from that. And so trying to figure out our time so that we can cover both of those things, as well as we don't want to just always be reporting on what has happened at these meetings. We want to be planning for the future, and that's one thing that I have heard from several of our constituents and such. And so by evaluating the strategic planning process, we can see, as Representative Murphy said, we might be ahead in some areas, and it might need to adjust some timelines, and some things may not be relevant or things have been changed. So we want to work on that as a group, but we've set that goal. We want to streamline the budget and finance reports to ensure clarity and transparency. And that goes back to some of the meetings that we have had in August, and we know that we need to do a better job communicating. Finances are just a complicated beast, and we have a huge budget, and we're a very large school district, and we want to make sure that the community knows and understands where we're spending our dollars. And so we want to make sure that our budget presentations are such that the community understands, and that also our messaging goes out, and that we're showing the community how we're spending our dollars. We want to continue to develop and implement strategies to increase staff diversity at the school level. One thing that we noted is that at the district level, we have a fairly diverse staff, and when the district makes hires, one thing that I recognized over the weekend, just looking at the mental health professionals that have been hired, is that that's a fairly diverse staff. And even when we saw the presentation a few minutes ago, one of the key things they said is working with the minority recruiter to make sure that we have staff that are mental health professionals that are dual language and that represent our population. But we are, for the first time, a majority minority population, and we recognize that our classrooms don't necessarily reflect that. And we know there's a lot of issues. We know there's a teacher shortage. We know there's some challenges. So what we talked about as a board is what can we do to further support growing the applicant pool, to have a diverse applicant pool, training our hiring officials at the school levels, and working with the SBDMs to recognize the importance of having a diverse and talented staff. So that is another goal that this board is committed to. And then we want to work to develop a more robust communications department to handle both internal and external communications. With 8,000 employees and 43,000 students and 20,000+ families, we have a lot of communications, and so we know that we can do better and we can do faster, and we've got to work on getting information out. And so that is something that we want to work alongside and support the superintendent and support the district to really grow our communications. So again, that we can share the message with the community of the things that we are doing and celebrate the things that we are doing in the community, and make sure that we're being transparent with our community and their tax dollars that we're appreciative of. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's evaluation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Love, a second by Mr. Nash. Is there any further discussion? Just so everyone knows, the official, I gave you all the highlights. The official one is we've shared with Superintendent Koch, and I will file with the KSBA tomorrow. So at this time, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. I do want to highlight, though, that even though Mr. Daniels is not here tonight as well, all 5 of us were able to be present for this evaluation, and I feel that that's really important.
And let me just say this. I think, we had a really good discussion and as we went through the evaluation process, and just where we are as a district, I mean, there have been lots of phenomenal transformation that has occurred. And, I know with staff and everyone else, it's been a lot. We have been going 110 miles plus an hour. And Superintendent Koch and I had discussion today about, putting the foot on the gas, right? How fast can we go? And I will say this, it's like there are lots of changing times that we're in, and there's a lot of unpredictability. Even when we thought about the budget around trying to make sure that we were conservative, but yet we protected ourselves for the future and the unanticipated. And so as you heard tonight, I think there are lots of things that we have planned, lots of things that's going to continue to evolve. But when I sit back and, of course, been on the board and reflect, 8 years ago, where we were and how we have kind of moved the ball forward, it has been, when the board team around that time talked about a transformational leader, we needed someone who can help us through that and navigate that. And so, I think, as we had conversations with Superintendent Kalk around, being somewhat satisfied with the progress, and of course, knowing that he's never one to be satisfied. He's already thinking in January, as he's already said. We're pleased to be able to come alongside and partner with you as a board team to kind of provide, the resources, the guidance that you need so that our staff and our students, at the end, they win. And so I appreciate the work that you've done. And I know it has not been without a lot of maybe sleepless nights and a lot of angst along the way, but we do appreciate the sacrifices that you have made on behalf of our district to continue to move us forward. And I think, when you think about being Superintendent of the Year for Kentucky and all the other types of accolades that you've received, I think we are extremely fortunate and blessed as a district to have you. And just want you to know that.
All right. Thank you, and thank you, Board. Dr. King said that the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. And I'm going to acknowledge my team, because there's no I in team, because the rest of that particular quote that was added on, it bends towards justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. And so no one does this work alone. And I want to give a standing ovation to my team for being partners in this work, the board and So with the board as a partner and continue to do this work, we will continue to bend the moral arc of the universe, not only towards justice, but towards equity as well. So thank you. With that said, we have several informational items for the board's review this evening, including the school activity fund report, the personnel changes for September. And if there are no questions about any of those items, that will conclude the board agenda for this evening, and we do have a need to go into closed session. Yes.
Let me send out a big thank you all so much for the increase that you gave us at the bus garage. I think over the summer we added 15 new drivers. Yes. I tell you guys, it really made my life a lot easier. And of course, supervisors, if they were here, they'd be shouting, So thank you all so much for that. You just don't know how much that means to us, and we're so blessed to have you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do, and all of our drivers and educators and teachers and staff to provide our students with the best education possible. So here to Fayette County.
So this is the part of the meeting where we have public comment. Our next item is where members of the public may address the board on any topic of district-related concern that is not on the official agenda for this meeting, as policy 1.45 states. But we, again, do not have anyone to sign up this evening to speak. So I am going to move on at this time. Is there any additional board business that needs to be discussed this evening? All right. I will entertain a motion making the agenda part of the, a motion is ordered to make the agenda dated September 23rd, 2019, on which action has been taken at this meeting, a part of the minutes, as if copied the minutes verbatim.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Nash, a second by Mr. Love. Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. And now I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.8101B to discuss acquisition or sale of real property, KRS 561.8101C to discuss KRS 61.8101C to discuss proposed or pending litigation, and pursuant to KRS 61.8101F to discuss personnel.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Nash, a second by Mr. Murphy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0, and we are in closed session.
All right, so Julie, Anna, and Charles, we're going to take a picture.